We're back. Yeah. So last week we got a little too busy. We do apologize for that, but we're back here. Sunday morning Tinkle. Jason's with us as always.
Right.
And coming up on the show, we're gonna talk the Stanley Cup, recap the NBA Finals. We got some college football news. A big commitment just went down this past week. We've also got Goodell testifying to Congress. We'll talk about that. And one quarterback has a nice way to fire up his team during the off season. We'll check in on that. But we start with the rundown, and Jason, it's all you.
All right. Well, as you know, there's three different Grant brothers in the NBA. Well, one of them just got traded before the NBA draft. That man is Jeremy Grant. He got traded to the Portland Trail Blazers for a 2025 first-round pick. Personally, I don't know much about Jeremy Grant. I mean, he's a decent player.
He was
But
good in Syracuse.
if there's any Grant brother that's the better one, I think it's the one that's on Milwaukee. I want to see. He would be one of the ones that would probably be worth trading a first-round draft pick for. Jeremy Grant, on the other hand, came out of Detroit. Wasn't that, big name in NBA, so I don't know if a first-round draft pick would have been good enough I think that might have been a little bit too much of a reach for the Portland Trail Blazers. I mean, he's somebody that can add production to that team that desperately does need it. Because, you got Damian Lillard, you have Norman Powell, you have Jokic, you got some decent players, but honestly right now, just Portland's trying to do whatever they can to make that team still relevant, only to possibly get into the into the playoffs, and then just sadly probably first or second round, and then nothing more than that, because I think Damian Lillard's stupid to stay with the Portland Trail Blazers. You're not going to win a ring anytime soon. You're not going to make any kind of effort to get any better. So, yeah.
Hmm.
I feel bad for Jeremy Grant. I mean, you go from the Pistons, who absolutely had no chance of going anywhere in the East, to a team in the West that probably has no future either. So it's a really crappy situation for Jeremy Grant, I feel like. But going forward, there's one player that has been in the news as of late. He said that if he was to opt into his contract, that he would want to get traded to some teams, but if he can't reach a deal, he would like to still do a sign and trade. But he actually, like a little bit before we did start recording, he actually, I think, did opt in. So there's a list of teams that he would not like to actually get traded to. Some of the big ones are the Lakers, Clippers, Knicks, Heat, Mavericks, the 76ers. He's a disaster piece. Ever since he's left Cleveland, he just can't stick with one team at all. Like,
I don't even want him.
He went to Boston, then he's in Brooklyn, now he wants to get traded away. Like, the man just can't, when everything goes wrong, I don't think the Lakers would be a good situation for him. Yes, he's played with LeBron before, but you also have Anthony Davis. So I don't know if all three of those guys could gel well. Look at what happened with Russell Westbrook. Speaking of Russell Westbrook, I mean, it's been heavily rumored. I don't know if it's going to happen during the draft, but it's heavily rumored, and I could see this happening too. I could see Russell Westbrook and Kyrie Irving switching places. Westbrook being in Brooklyn and Kyrie being in LA with LeBron. So it could happen. Clippers doesn't make any sort of sense because you already have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. Then you add Kyrie Irving to the mix. Still don't know if that would match. Knicks, I don't know if I like that one either. You have, you have. Actually, I think one of the Grant brothers are on the Knicks too. So that's why I'm saying there's 3 different ones, and I'm pretty sure Jeremy, Grant used to play on the Knicks or something like that. If I remember correctly.
Over after leaving Syracuse, I couldn't honestly tell you off the top of my head.
So you have Julius Randle with the Knicks. You have the one that came out of Duke. RJ Barrett. You have RJ Barrett. You have Julius Randle. I mean, don't get me wrong. And then you have Kemba Walker. So unless they're thinking about trading away Kemba Walker in that deal for Kyrie, it could work out for Knicks' favor. Knicks would be an interesting one. The Heat, I cannot see happening. The Heat, I don't see it happening. You would have to give up. I feel like they would have to give up way too many valuable pieces. The guy try to go after Kyrie Irving. So I don't see that happening.
You have an NBA Finals contending roster right now. Leave it alone, plain and simple. Right. Or build off of it with the draft and free agency.
The only way I can think that it could happen is then you give Jimmy Butler some help, because in that playoff run, you didn't really see Jimmy Butler getting much help. You did, but you didn't. Jimmy Butler had to put that team mostly on his back, especially against the Celtics. So, you had a piece like that. It's just, who are you going to give up? That's the real question. If you were the GM or owner per se of the Heat, and you look at that full-on roster, who are you giving up? You already know that Goran. I think Goran Dragic is no longer on the team. I think he was with the Suns last year or something like that. So you don't have to worry about him. But if you look at that roster, you would think, well, PJ Tucker is not going to be re-signing with the Heat. He's set to be a free agent. I think Kyrie Irving Kyle Lowry is still under contract.
I believe he got a multi-year deal.
He could possibly be an option in that if he was to somehow go to the Heat. I would think Kyrie Irving and maybe somebody else, maybe Hero and Lowry for Irving. I don't know. It may be a draft pick or something like that, because you're gonna have to combat with that contract that Kyrie Irving has. Mavericks. It'd be cool, but I just don't see it happening unless they release. They already traded a lot of options for Christian Wood, so the only other thing I can think of is you trade away, Brunson, you give away Jalen Brunson and I don't know, a Tim Hardaway Jr. for Kyrie Irving. It could happen like that. Jalen Brunson had a career year, so I think he could excel very well elsewhere if that was to be the case. But I don't. In the 76ers, I absolutely do not see it happening. That just makes absolutely no sense. I don't even know why he chose the 76ers of any team to get traded to. I just don't see the 76ers being the team that gets traded to. It makes no sense. You already have James Harden and Joel Embiid, unless they're thinking about Harden getting traded for Kyrie Irving. I mean, that could possibly happen too. Then you end up having Harden and Kevin Durant on the same team again, which could work. I mean, it's happened before. They were in the Thunder together, so.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, if you looked at all those teams, who do you think that could be the most favorable? I'm thinking the Lakers.
Honestly, I'm leaning toward that. They look like they want to get rid of Anthony Davis at this point anyway. I could see a deal maybe going through.
I don't think it's going to be Anthony Davis. They would be stupid to get rid of Anthony Davis.
Maybe in a three-team trade is what I'm getting at. There's a possibility that could happen.
That'd be something. That'd be crazy.
I think that would be honestly the smartest decision because let's face it, Anthony Davis is not the same good player that he was that won the NBA Finals in the bubble there.
Right, exactly. The bubble made a lot of different players great. Kristaps Porzingis had a great run in the bubble, but then look what he did afterwards. Couldn't have the same success. So the bubble really was almost like a second season that really made stars that you wouldn't think would do that well into stars. Like Nuggets, for instance. The Nuggets haven't been that same team ever since the bubble.
Yeah.
They got to the Western Conference Finals in the bubble, and they haven't been there since. So, same thing with the Suns. The Suns had a great, amazing run in the bubble. They haven't really, the last 2 seasons they had one of the best NBA records, but haven't really done anything with it afterwards. So, the Lakers make the most sense. Clippers don't. Knicks would be enticing. Heat, I don't see. Mavericks, it would be cool, but I just don't see. 76ers are just out of the equation. So I'm going to have to say the Lakers of any team that could go after Kyrie Irving, to be honest with you. Because they have a lot more options to trade away. And you can still get some good players out of it. I mean, Russell Westbrook, all can be adding some production. I just don't know if him and KD would gel together again because, of all the trash talk that they had over the years that, between Golden State and OKC Thunder, these two men haven't been really on the same side ever since then. So it's going to be very enticing to see if it truly does happen where the Lakers do trade Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving. Could you see both of those men after so many years away from each other? Because it's been, since at least 2016, I want to say, that you've, not had them on the same team. It's been quite some time, so these two men, if it does end up being like that, it's going to be interesting to see if they can gel together after so many years away from each other. But going on to my last takeaway, we didn't get a chance to say it last week, but congratulations to the Golden State Warriors. You are the 2022 NBA champs. After 2 seasons in a row of not making it, of course, Klay Thompson with his possible career-ending injuries, coming back from 2 career-ending injuries, an ACL tear and also a torn Achilles, which are both could be considered career-ending, especially the Achilles. But after being out of action for 941 days, came back and helped lead the Golden State Warriors to their 4th championship in 8 seasons or something like that, if I remember correctly. 4th title in 6 years, 7, 8 years, I don't know. But congratulations. But Boston fans, don't hang your head low. Hang your head low, because I think that they'll be back soon. If next year, it'd be cool, but I do think that they have a roster full of talent that they can get back into the NBA Finals soon.
In the first year with the new head coach and a new president of the team, I would say that was a very impressive run. And I can admire that and respect it. And I do want to say, going off the Warriors, I think we're both eating a big bowl of regret this morning because didn't we not say last year they're done, they'll never get back there again?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have said that. They really did prove a lot of doubters wrong, saying that the dynasty is over with. They're not going to be the same team.
It's not a dynasty. I'm sorry.
But let me tell you something here. I'm in no shape or form a Warriors fan. The way that they held themselves afterwards, being all cocky like that, all we do is shoot threes and win championships. Then Draymond Green, being all cocky. I'm just ready for them, ready for next season, and them getting their asses kicked. Because the target is on their backs. I'm hoping teams can go out there and literally the living crap out of the Warriors because
I've told you before, I hate the crap out of Draymond Green. I think he's my least favorite player in the NBA. But the person I'm most happiest for is Klay Thompson on this whole roster, just from coming back from the injuries and all that.
Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that they had their rings. That it already shows right now that Steph Curry is a better basketball player than LeBron James. I get it. They had the same amount of championships, but look how many tries it took for LeBron to get 4, and how many tries it took for Steph to get 4. Like, it took a lot less time for Steph to get 4 than LeBron did, because it was like, what, nine seasons to get 4? I mean, he don't get me wrong, there was a lot of losses, and there was definitely some wins too, but I mean, it could also be Steph, safe to say that Steph helped carry the Warriors to a championship this year, because Klay didn't have that great of a playoff finals run. Steph was playing lights out that finals, hence why he won the MVP award. It just... It's... You can definitely tell who wanted it more than the other, team-wise, so...
I'm sorry, we're gonna enter. We could sit here and debate all day about LeBron versus Curry. I think we'd be wasting our breath. But
right.
What I'm gonna say though, actually, I'm just not gonna say it. It's just a waste of breath. I don't know. I didn't know where I was going with that. Keep in mind, I've been up since 3, so this is uncharted territory now.
Right. I don't know. It's tough to go into that kind of discussion, but I guess with that, I'll let you go to your takeaway.
I'll tell you what I will comment on. I will comment on the Colorado Avalanche and the Tampa Bay Lightning, of course. Colorado, as of Wednesday, took a dreaded, and I say dreaded for a reason, but a 3-1 lead in the Stanley Cup. And the reason I say dreaded is we all know what's happened with 3-1 leads when it comes to the now Cleveland Guardians, the Golden State Warriors. Need I go on? So, I will say Colorado, by far the better team. I'm not going to shy away from saying that they are by far the better team. Very quick, just very sneaky, I guess is the way to put it. And if they win it, they absolutely deserve it. And this is coming from a Lightning fan right here. Tampa Bay, I just hope that I wanted them to at least make this series respectable, because I knew, the way it looked the first 2 games, it looked like it was going to be a sweep. Just based on how Colorado came out. Then, it looks like Tampa Bay found something. I know Wednesday night's overtime goal, I haven't seen the highlight of it, but I guess there were too many men on the ice. Then people were complaining about that. And, I know people were complaining, too, about the early goal of goaltender interference. And you guys know my opinions on referees, so I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
But I will say, if this is the end for the Tampa Bay Lightning and this miraculous 2-year run that they had with this core group, I think, it deserves a round of applause. Because you know what? It's just... You know, honestly, people hate, and I will say this before I move on. People hate, and I've been saying it to everyone who's been against the Lightning this whole playoffs, saying you want someone new. I will say this. One, if it was your team, you would be the ones rubbing it in and getting confident and enjoying life. So don't give me that you want to see somebody new. So that's just hypocritical to begin with. And number two, actually, that's mainly what I wanted to get across. Oh my gosh. But yeah, number two, you're just like I said, mainly you're just jealous because your team can't and probably won't have the same success that the Lightning have had. And number two, I want to say what I was going to say, or what I said to Zach Carmian. Of course, if you haven't watched Out of Turn 4, Zach Carmian is back here on Tinkle Sports and Entertainment. But we talked to each other before recording Out of Turn 4, and I said, if the Lightning get swept, if the Lightning lose in 5 games, could this be argued that they are now the 07 Patriots or the 16 Warriors? Just because, again, they were on the brink of doing something that's very rarely done, or almost never done, and they fell short.
Right.
I think a sweep would have eliminated everything, but, hopefully by the time we're recording this, we're finding out that Game 6 starts at 8 tonight. So,
right.
All right. Some other news going on to the baseball side of things. We have not talked baseball on here in a while, mainly because we've had a lot of off-season NFL news, and of course we had the NBA and the Stanley Cup Finals going on. So, Angels starting pitcher Reed Detmers, you might remember him, the 22-year-old, the youngest Angels pitcher in the history of the franchise to throw a no-hitter. Well, his time in the spotlight is very short-lived. He has officially been sent back down to AAA minor league baseball after six weeks removed from his no-hitter. Of course, he currently holds a 5 ERA, and he's 0-2 in his starts since then. No shock, I guess, that he got called down or sent down to AAA. But, when you see stuff like that, you think it's a fluke. But honestly, you don't throw a no-hitter in 9 innings by accident.
Right.
And, here's the thing. He's 22 years old. Man. It's sad when you reach the age where you say he's younger than me. But, damn, he's younger than me. And he's younger. Well, he's younger than the both of us, but.
Right.
But he's got plenty of time to work on his craft, work on his consistency. He'll find his way back. But, man, to go from the ultimate high back down to a low like that in 6 weeks, that's just got to be killer.
It'll help with his progression. Yeah, it sucks to have that happen, but you know what? It might help him for the long run too. Who knows?
Yeah. And the Angels, they're still in a never-ending rebuild, so it's, I guess, only right that he got sent down. Help out the AAA team. Maybe they're doing a little bit better. I don't know. I don't follow AAA that closely other than the Red Wings, so with that, we'll move on to the next thing. And of course, last time we aired a show, we mentioned the drawing tension between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf. Well, it's starting to look ugly. For those who are racing fans out there that do watch Out of Turn 4 and watch this show, you know about the IndyCar and kart split, the infamous one in the 90s, where the league split up. And that's just one comparison I saw on Twitter. But now more golfers are leaving the PGA Tour to join LIV Golf, and the latest one to leave and also endure a PGA Tour suspension is Brooks Koepka. He has joined LIV Golf, and the PGA Commissioner has now come out and released a statement saying briefly that LIV is an irrational threat to the game. Again, strong words, but could you imagine if Roger Goodell, and we said this a few weeks ago, but could you imagine if Adam Silver said that the TBT tournament was an irrational threat to the NBA, or, the NFL saying that USFL is an irrational threat to the game?
Right.
Look,
That'd be crazy.
Again, we're not going to comment on LIV's or their headquarters and their backings, because we know a lot about the Saudi Arabian government and we don't care to comment on that on this channel.
Right. Well, I'm not gonna comment on that. It's probably just more so like that. A lot of these like sports leagues don't really want to deal with the competition. That's probably what the PGA is going at. They probably just don't want to deal with the competition because they may be like fearful that losing most of their stars could result into some bad things for the PGA. So that's the only thing I can think of with that is like, none of them really want to have to deal with competition, and when they do, then that's when they have to like really step their game up. Where when they didn't have to really indirectly deal with competition, then they could just focus on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Right.
But not for nothing, like, some competition could be seen as a good thing.
Right.
And the PGA has not endured much competition. So I can understand why they feel threatened, but, maybe, just maybe, this is something that can help innovate the game. I mean, the NFL, the XFL had some great innovations in their second incarnation. I don't even want to comment on the AAF. The AAF was a dumpster fire all across the boards. And then the USFL, hell, maybe the USFL's got something that the NFL can take. There's certain things that can innovate the game. There's really not much innovation you can do to golf, but what I will say is there's certain things that this league does that maybe you could mirror. Maybe some new tour events, maybe some, I don't know, some new incentives. Maybe that's something they need to look into instead of immediately slamming another league for competing with them. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. I mean, maybe I don't know the full story, but at least that's what my understanding is, and that's been the understanding for the last 3 weeks. So, with that, I feel it's a good time to finally go on our anchor break here. When we come back, we'll have the latest commitment to college football as well as the NFL news, so stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, welcome back. The latest member of the Manning family quarterback dynasty has officially committed to a college. Cooper Manning's son, Arch Manning, has committed to the University of Texas. Arch Manning is the #1 ESPN Top 100 recruit for 2023. This one, well, I don't think it's much of a shocker, to be honest.
Probably not. Because what?
I think
Payne went to Tennessee. Eli went to Ole Miss. I mean, it was only a matter of time that
Eli and the rest of the family did. It was a family effort at Ole Miss.
So, to see Arch going to Texas, I guess it didn't make, it made sense. Because he even got pursued by, I think, Alabama and like one other school, but choosing Texas makes it, then he gets to choose his own fate. He can try to take the Texas Longhorns to some stardom, because I think that he can really do fantastic in college football. Of course, he will definitely probably be in the NFL. I mean, he's a Manning, so...
Yeah, he'll be in. I feel like this is the best move for his development. Steve Sarkisian was an offensive coordinator in the NFL for a year, so he kind of has the feel for it, and he worked with the likes of Matt Ryan in that time. So
I think he can help develop Arch Manning into a great quarterback in the University of Texas. So, only time...
Oh, sorry, I was just going to add to that Alabama quarterbacks, I think he had to looked at and said, well, what Alabama quarterback has had success in the NFL in the last few years? That's something that had to weigh in.
And then Tua, maybe...
Tua's in a prove-it year.
Yeah, I know.
Mac Jones, it's still too early to judge.
Right.
So, but before that, I mean, AJ McCarron's a floater. Like, he's constantly bouncing back and forth between teams and whatnot.
Right.
Struggling to keep a job. So,
I should even say that technically Jalen Hurts was with Alabama, even though he went to the draft out of Oklahoma. So
yeah, but honestly, it'll be very interesting to see how Arch Manning develops. Of course, he won't hit the field until 2023 for the Longhorns, but nonetheless, a big win for Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns. But we move on to NFL news now. Roger Goodell had the opportunity to testify to Congress about the Dan Snyder probe. Of course, one of the questions was brought up by Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, asking if Roger Goodell had the power or the authority to remove Dan Snyder from ownership of the Washington Commanders, to which Roger Goodell responded, he has no authority to do such thing. It requires a vote of 24 of the 32 NFL owners to have him removed, and unfortunately it is highly unlikely that will happen. So I guess, should they change the rule is the big question.
it's tough to tell, because you don't want to take that away and then have the commissioner have too much power. So it makes sense that it's on the owner's hands to choose if they really want to keep an owner on a certain team or not. So I kind of like it to keep probably the same, but then again, in a sense like that, just in case if there is a thing with owner having something like that, it probably makes a little bit more sense to have it in the hands of the commissioner to take the owner out of power. So,
see, the problem is,
for the reason you can place owners in if you want to, or step in and say, hey, no, it's not enough. Is enough. You can't be the owner anymore. You're gonna have to sell the team.
Yeah.
So,
See, this is the problem. Of course, I only reason I think I would like to see it change is look at the 32 owners in the NFL and how tight knit they are. They all got each other's back regardless of what happens. Jerry
hmm
Jones has said on Bob Costas' show before that he would not vote to remove Dan Snyder as the owner because he views Dan Snyder as a friend and a cherished colleague. So it's clear that, the NFL ownership is like a fraternity, and these owners are just, they're not going to get rid of each other, ultimately. So I feel like that's where Roger Goodell should have. With situations like this, where he's in an FBI or a Congress probe,
hmm
he should have the power to say, you know what, we got to kick you out. I'm sorry. Like, especially if this leads to like a criminal charge, it should just be sold from under him.
right.
So, that's just my view. Um, situations where, small little family spat. Now, unfortunately, I don't, I want Dean Spanos removed, but small little family spats, little, outside of work drama, it should come down to the owners to vote on.
hmm
If they represent the league and whatnot going forward. But again, big issues like this where he's in a probe right now, he should, Goodell should have the power to remove an owner. But anyway, going on. Of course, Ryan Fitzpatrick is the latest announcement in Amazon's Thursday Night Football package. He will be joining as a studio analyst. And it'll be interesting to see if he brings the fancy suit back, the half, chested suit that he had or whatever that was. And if he keeps the beard, of course. That will be the big one. Will he keep the beard? Which
I think it was more of a football beard. So I think he might, clean it up and stay a little bit, clean shaven. Or if he's gonna have the beard, probably not as big as he would have it if he was playing. So I think he might clean it up a little bit. The suit, on the other hand, I think he could wear that suit. But the man is from Harvard. He's smart. He's going to be very knowledgeable of football. So I think he's the right option as a studio analyst because he knows the ins and outs of the game, and he might use some nice fancy words that
litigation.
could be
No, I'm just kidding.
no in the studio too. So.
But yeah, so I like this move. I think it adds some personality to the Thursday night team. You've got again, we mentioned the best analyst, the best play-by-play analyst in Curb Street from college football. You got the best NFL play-by-play announcer. It's essentially the all-star game for broadcasters in the booth on Thursday night. And on top of it, this move is just big. And now with the announcement, by the way, I forgot to write this down, but Rob Gronkowski also retired. Adding a guy like him for personality could even be very cool, but I don't think that's going to happen on the Amazon side.
I don't think so.
But again, I just look at the Fox team, and the Fox team has a great blend of, knowledge and personality, and I think, adding someone like Ryan Fitzpatrick just, puts Amazon in a good position to succeed in year number one as the sole Thursday night football broadcaster. But we are on some sad news this week, unfortunately. Tony Siragusa and Jalen Ferguson both passed away this past week. Of course, the Goose he passed away at age 55. And then, of course, Jalen Ferguson, age 26.
Yeah, no, that one was a little
Yeah,
crazy, you know.
it's it's been a big week. It's been a bad week for NFL losses. But we know Tony Siragusa had a big impact on the game, and longtime defensive tackle. There's no cause of death, but of course, we don't want to speculate. Um, Another Raven too, former Colt and a former Raven. So this is just a bad week for Baltimore in general.
I know. Former Baltimore Raven, and then the other one is the current Baltimore Raven, and just
Yeah,
crazy.
one of one of the guys, by the way. So Tony Siragusa had a bruised spine. He was advised not to play and continued to do so. So,
Crazy.
scary. Of course, other attributes. He was a sideline analyst for Fox Sports for uh, the years 2003 till 2015. He was a part of it. He, of course, had some acting roles appearing in The Sopranos as well as Spike Lee's 25th Hour. Um, so, just unfortunate all around. Rest in peace to both of them. But let's end on a high note here, and let's go over to Tinkle on this. Of course, this is a few weeks old, but I figure it's good to bring up. Of course, we got a little inside scoop to how Josh Allen keeps his team well composed and motivated. And it's taken it back probably about 5 years to when everyone kept saying, well, D's nuts. So
Right.
Josh Allen likes to wind up being serious, and then he immediately starts talking about D's nuts. So that's the way Josh Allen keeps his team ready to go. And honestly, I like it. It's nice humor, It shows that D's nuts is not dead, especially in Bills territory, like we are. So
Right.
I guess the tinkle on this award goes to his teammates for constantly falling for D's nuts jokes.
Hey man, whatever you gotta do to be on the same page, to be a family, and be able to, get everybody on the same page to head into the season. Because this one is a make it or break it type of year for the Buffalo Bills. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think that, you know, taking the edge off in, mini camps and OTAs and stuff like that, it's definitely a good sign heading into training camp, which will be next month too.
Absolutely, and we look forward to that. Of course, it will be back here in the
It's about
Rochester area.
in the Rochester area. It's back in St. John Fisher College, at
No,
least
not
for
St.
the
John Fisher University now. They just got their name changed.
St. John University.
Yeah, St.
Really?
John Fisher University is now the home of Bill's training camp once again.
So at least for this year, who knows what could be for the future? I don't know if they're gonna decide to go to somewhere else. I don't know if they're gonna stay at St. John Fisher. Because for right now, they at least signed a 1-year deal. So anything could happen after the season. I guess it all depends on what happens this year. If they're gonna sign a long-term deal, or if they're gonna if are they gonna go back to Buffalo after this year. I don't know. So
Yeah, we will see, of course. Speaking of football season, I feel it's a good time to make this announcement. Of course, if you recall, last year we had a 9-team fantasy football league, kind of an odd number, but we made it work. This year we're hoping to expand it to 10 to 12. And of course, it is your chance to show that you are better than us at fantasy football. So we hope you will sign up, of course. We plan to have the draft in late August. We will, of course, probably broadcast it on here, so you won't miss it.
Right.
So again, be sure to sign up. Our information is in the Discord for it. Again, no money on the line. I should note there's no money on the line for this league. It is just for your chance to get bragging rights against the two of us, Marty and Zach. So
Exactly. So, I will say this now. I don't plan on, I plan on still having them bragging rights for the time being because,
yeah, he's the defending champ.
You're looking at your defending champion right here. So, and I had some strategies. I'm not going to share any because that would be stupid of me. No. But just know that you might not have a lucky first chance.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. But, yes, we would like to, have some more people. If you guys would like to be able to join, please. We don't bite.
Yeah, join our Discord for the information, the link. Again, we do it all through our Discord, so that's where you gotta go to get the info. Of course, the link is in the video description. We'll also post the link on the description for the audio listeners as well. We hope to live stream it. We'll see how, we're going to play it by ear this time around because schedules have been a little hectic, so just stay tuned is all I can tell you. And of course, another programming note. So last year, we took our break right at the beginning of the NFL preseason. We took a nice long summer break, came back for week 1 of NFL action, and I feel bad because, I feel like week 3 of the preseason, there's just, I think we both feel bad because week 3 of the preseason, after that, it's just so many cuts that we just miss by not covering that break. So I figure now, of course, or we both figure now, with the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals being back to their normal spots in early mid-June, that we are going to be taking a break. So next week will be our final show until August 28th is the plan when we return. So that'll, of course, be after week 3 of the preseason. It'll give us a chance to cover the cuts, cover the entire preseason, and on top of it, get to cover some baseball as well. Because the only thing we really get to cover in the month of July and August now is just baseball and off-season rumors. So it's just in the best interest of our show and quality, and especially because we both work a few jobs here, I feel it's a good chance to get a break. Now, this does not affect Out of Turn 4, and to my knowledge, won't affect No Final Bell, am I right?
Not at all. It won't affect No Final Bell whatsoever. We're still going full blow.
Yeah.
Of course, heading into the top-rated Forbidden Door pay-per-view between New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW, so don't want to hear that. But unfortunately, AEW has been kind of plagued with some injuries. If I wanted to talk anything about No Final Bell, Bryan Danielson, unfortunately, is not going to be competing at Forbidden Door and Blood and Guts. He is, I don't know what kind of injury it is. I would think head, but
well, I know Bryan Danielson had a concussion, is what I heard.
Right. Well,
at least that's what Marty told me earlier.
I don't know if it's concussion because the way that his promo went, he said that his head is 100% all right. So I think it's something different than that, but who knows? But hopefully he gets back to being healthy. I hope most of the people that are out return healthy and 100%. As to who could be his replacement, because it was rumored for him to go up against Zack Sabre Jr. I have no idea. I haven't watched Dynamite yet. So, of course, you got to watch No Final Bell to find out who is the replacement, as we will cover Forbidden Door in our third pay-per-view special. It might not be the pay-per-view special. It might just be a regular. I don't know.
It might either way.
Yeah, exactly. So, please do.
There's a little bit of an announcement, too, about No Final Bell. Of course, I don't know if it'll start this week, but it will be in the near future. Um, so today we got to go face to face. I got to show these guys how to do a little something, and No Final Bell will be coming to Facebook very soon.
Yeah, yeah, that's very exciting news. So to our Facebook viewers,
Well,
you will
none on here, but
start seeing a
yeah.
well, yeah. Well, to anybody that watches us on YouTube, you could also start watching us on Facebook for No Final Bell. Or at least test the waters on it, see how it goes. If it goes well, we'll continue it. If it doesn't, then we might just still end up doing YouTube. Who knows? But it's just a way to try to get us some more eyes on a product, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, after all that big spew, what are we looking forward to on Out of Turn 4?
So, if you missed last week's episode, we welcomed back our good friend and colleague Zach Carmine. He is back, of course. Tinkle Focus coming up real soon here on our Tinkle Sports and Entertainment Network. But coming up this week, of course, Nashville Super Speedway is this weekend. Another fun race. Of course, we've been talking a lot about NBC and Fox coverage. I'm sure we'll have an NBC blunder we'll get to talk about and harass them about. But the other thing is, hopefully, if we don't have too much off-season news, I teased a little bit last episode about releasing my ideal NASCAR schedule for 2023. So I will probably have a chance to release that on Tuesday, assuming that no big off-season news pops up. And again, the reason for it, in case you haven't checked it out, Road America might not be back on the NASCAR Cup schedule, and a lot of fans not happy about it because it will be in favor of a downtown Chicago street course. So, we will, of course, cover that on Out of Turn 4. We're at 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook Watch. No Final Bell. It'll for sure be on YouTube on Wednesday. As far as Facebook, stay tuned, of course. Hopefully you guys will be able to figure that out and get it up there. Bad words for that. But anyway, we want to thank you for watching. And we'll be back next week for our final episode of season number 2. And then we get to kick back in the recliners and enjoy a nice little vacation.
Yeah.
Not really, but all right. Until then, folks.
We'll still be busy with other things, so don't worry too much, fans.
We'll still be here. So if you don't like us, well, too bad. All right. But with that, thanks for watching, everyone. Until next Sunday. Bye, everyone.